Good morning, people of God. This is Natasha Bakar from the Way of the Righteous. And today we're going to be talking about faith. My question today is, where is your faith? On yesterday, I talked about the number one problem in the world, or the number one problem that the world faces. And many of you may say it's Trump, it's violence, but I'm convinced it's us. You see, I like to get to the root of a problem. I learned the hard way. You got to get it at the root. And the root of each problem, the common denominator, is us. Many of us don't know better, but if you call yourself a Christian, a believer, a child of God, then you, my friend, must do better. I'm convinced that we too don't know how. I didn't. You see, I was convinced that all I needed to do was to be a do-gooder. I was convinced that all I needed to do was believe, but I found out quickly there's more. See, we're supposed to add to our faith. You see, when I was operating on half-truths, when the time came around for me to stand on it, and when I was in desperate need, I could not fly. The truth is, we have to add to our faith. Do you think that the Israelites did not believe in God after seeing the Red Sea open before them? The entire wilderness stage was an exercise of their faith. Faith, 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 a word that we use so loosely. Faith, 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 the word that we understand intellectually. But do we know that it is the foundational understanding that many of us skip? Sure, if you ask a person, do they have faith, they will say, yes, I have faith. If you ask a person what the definition of faith is, they would say, sure, it is the substance of things hoped for. But you need to really ask yourself, what are you hoping for? And what substance are you putting your hope? See, the Israelites hoped to be free. And it happened. Their wilderness stage took 40 years. And in those 40 years, God was trying to get them to see that they needed to put their faith in Him. God showed them over and over and over and over again to ensure that the fundamental understanding of faith was in them and not intellectually understood. They saw the Red Sea open before their eyes. They saw bread come down from heaven. But it needed to be in them before they entered into the promised land. So, my question to you today is, where is your faith? For where your heart is, there your heart, or shall I say, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So, maybe I should ask many of us, where's your heart? See, the Bible is clear that we are to trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding, and in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he will direct thy path. People of God, this is the number one stumbling block of our faith, that we don't understand where our heart is. We put our heart in people. We put our hearts in money and jobs. We put those things first. But he said in his word that if you put it in me, if you seek the kingdom first, then I will direct your path on everything else in your life. This is the number one stumbling block of our faith. How do I know? You see, my faith lied in the eyes of a man. The dark prince riding in on a horse. My faith lied in the eyes of a friend who needed my help. The hopeless who said, thanks for helping me. I was a good doer, a do-gooder, a goody two-shoer, whatever you want to call it. That was me, forgetting about the reason why. Always learning but never increasing in God, because God takes you from, he adds to your faith. He adds to your faith. I was stuck. For a long time, I was stuck. But I learned after 3 days in darkness, I learned that my faith must rely in God. On this solid rock I stood. That way, when friends and family and life moved, I could stand. When the wind blew, I could stand. And when I couldn't move with God, or I should say, when I couldn't move, God had me. See, when you move with God, you move with love. It's the safest place in the world. People of God, faith will add to you if you put it in the right place. I'm not bashing relationships. No. I don't want to even have you think that I am not a victim, which many of us who come out of toxic relationships end up falling into the trap of victimization. But we are not victims. We are just vulnerable. We are vulnerable because we don't have the knowledge that we need. We are vulnerable because we have a crack in the fundamental foundation of faith. So we build our house on a crack foundation. But if you build your house on God, if you stop leaning on your own understanding and gain the wisdom of God, I promise you that you will fly. You will fly. You will add to your faith. And you will understand the goodness of God. In Jesus' mighty name, I pray right now that any of you who are listening to this message, who struggle with your faith, who struggle with understanding God and building and increasing in Him, who are stuck still in the wilderness stage, that you will understand that all you need to do is shift your focus. Take your eyes off of man and put your eyes on Christ. And I know that sounds so religious because, hey, when I first heard it over and over and over again, I didn't understand. What did people mean by take your eyes off of man and put it on Christ? Keep your eyes on Christ. Keep your eyes on Christ. But what they mean is keep your eyes on truth. What they mean is abide in the love of God and let all the toxics and all the debris fall to your left and fall to your right. And let God increase you. In Jesus' mighty name. I'll talk to you later.